Hello! Hey, finally back with another manga review. Sorry, I've actually had these building up for a little bit. I have 8, 9 I need to do actually, so expect just to get walloped by a ton of them. So I'm going to try and get these out to you all so that way I can give my viewpoints on mangas. Quick update on some things, because I've actually had some commenters that have left me comments, especially on Overlord, Gundam Wing, or not Endless Waltz. Actually, no, it is called Endless Waltz, Glory for the Losers. Different mangas like that. For Overlord, I am trying to find the first few volumes of the light novel. I actually like to have the physical copy. Those who may be wondering why would I bother with having the physical copy over having the actual, like just having a copy, digital or whatnot. To me, I just prefer having something I can hold. It's just a pure, like, that's what I like. I personally am interested in reading it, especially since the commenter told me it's like, hey, it actually lets in more information. I'm like, ooh, cool. I really love the world that Overlord built up. So I'm like, also about Glory or Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, Glory for Losers, Endless Waltz. It's got 17,000 names. Oh my god. Just to let y'all know, I actually did get Volume 2. I'm going to read some of it just because, as the commenter stated that, hey, you know, it does actually change some stuff. I got it before this commenter, fortunately, had already told me, just because I was curious if they were going to change more. That's the reason why I'm like, screw it, I'm going to get Volume 2, why not? And hey, I do actually still own my original copy of Episode 0. When I talk about my original copy, this was back when I was like 16, and once I originally came out, I can't remember. I was small. Well, smaller than I am now. And as you can guess, with me being 31, yeah, it's been a decade or two nearly. And also, another commenter talked about Attack on Titan, how they were wanting me to try and maybe do an anime review of it. I am interested in it. I need to find time. That's my biggest crunch here. Because, like, reading the mangas, I have a little bit of time, but that's because I can sort of, like, just do other stuff, and I can sit there and read it. To sit there and watch an entire anime, or even just first season, which is my original idea. I was going to probably separate into seasons. It's going to take a little bit. So, fortunately, it's not coming right away, but if I can help it, maybe by the end of the year. But hey, enough of me vamping and talking to my commenters. I wish I got to these a lot quicker and sooner so I could I could speak with you all, you know, a little bit more consistently. Instead, I'm going to talk about Jaco, Intergalactic Patrolman. I'll keep on calling him Spaceman. Those who are not of the know, and of course, if you didn't notice, Akira Toriyama wrote this. He wrote it and drew it, everything. In fact, you can tell it's a very Akira Toriyama. Though, of course, it's much more newer Akira Toriyama than it is older, which I'm going to get into here in a moment. My experience with Akira Toriyama, he can be both one of the better writers out there and one of the more frustrating writers. It's so baffling to describe him. There is some stuff that he does really well. He actually can make dramatic elements. He can make some good comedy. But he loves corn. And I'm not talking about like the actual vegetable. That would make sense of Akira Toriyama. No, he just loves some corny jokes. And also, he's the worst sometimes about retconning his stuff to where it doesn't make sense, especially when you look back on it. That, more importantly, comes up with Jaco here. Those who do not know about Jaco, because you did not see Resurrection F, or have not played any game, or watched anything of Dragon Ball related in the past, like, I don't know, 10 years or so. Something that's a little itchy. Jaco is a intergalactic patrolman. Get the name. That what he does is he goes around and tries to stop threats. Mind you, when you break down, it doesn't exactly make the most sense considering Jaco is like, oh, I need to stop this threat. And the reason why this even exists is that he was coming to Earth to stop Goku as a baby. You learn this very late into the novel. Well, and when I say novel, I mean this is a freaking novel. It's nearly double the size of most normal mangas. But yeah, he's just there to stop Goku. Though he just admits it's a Saiyan, and that creates some issues. Yeah, Jaco, he ends up befriending this old man who's trying to create a time machine so that way he can, I think it's so the old man can save his wife. It could be a sweet story, just nothing's given into it, so it's just kind of there. It exists is the best way to put it. But in all of this, he also befriends a young lady who ends up becoming Bulma's sister. And those who are wondering, it is this young lady right here, who happens to look more like Bulma's mother in terms of like the hair-wise and all that. So, long and short, that's the story. Where I will give this some credit, the art is actually pretty damn good in this. You do have to like Akira Toriyama's art, where it's obviously a little bit more exaggerated. There's very little bit of true, real people or anything like that, which can have issues. Here, though, because I know what I'm getting into, I know that it's an offshoot of Dragon Ball, I'm willing to let it go and not worry about that much. There's certain times where you have to be willing to suspend your disbelief, for lack of a better term. It's the reason why with Sailor Moon, why I don't have as much issue with the fact that everybody there is just these long, gangly monsters. Unlike me, I'm a little T-Rex. You know, I don't have as many problems with it because it's not going for a super, realistic look for people. It's going for more of a stylized look. Or like My Hero Academia. Everybody in there, they look fairly normal until you start getting people with, body quirks and all that have actually changed their physical form. So here I'm willing to forgive that. So I like the art. What I have my biggest problems with, and I'm going to start going negative, is the story. It's not that it's bad, it's painfully dull. Like, for a story, it's supposed to give the backstory of Mr. Jaco here, this little purple and white dude. For this to talk about how he came to Earth, how he knows Earth, everything, it's boring. Like, the first quarter of the book, it all deals with the fact of Jaco trying to decide if he's going to wipe out the human race using this extinction bomb thing he has. Or him trying to figure out how to get his spaceship running, and Jaco's kind of a dick. And I don't mean that in like, oh, it's kind of funny he's a dick, like Vegeta, he's a dick. He's an enjoyable dick. No, Jaco's just a dick. And he has the Edward Ulrich, issue that, he doesn't like being called short or small or people making fun of how he looks. And I don't get it. I know, it's Akira Toriyama, his weird humor. He likes these simple or sometimes even corny jokes. Get Vegeta's name, it's vegetable. But here, I don't know, considering the fact that he pretty much is a intergalactic patrolman, he probably sees millions of different races, and he probably looks weird to them. To humans, he's going to look weird. To Frieza's race, he's going to look weird. To Piccolo's race, the Namekians, he's going to look weird. This isn't like one of these things like, oh, well, everybody looks like me, considering we have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of different races in the Dragon Ball universe, and they all look fairly different from each other. So they're going to think he's going to look a little odd to them. It's just, nature, I'd have to figure. Especially since they all seem to have human characteristics. And English is understandable across everywhere. And Japanese, I guess, for lack of a better usage of words. So him getting bent and all out of shape because humans kind of think he looks a little odd or don't quite get his facial expressions or his boasting. Not only that, but he makes a big deal. Oh, Earth is, this backwater country. We're not going to worry about this and this and that. Kind of goes into a little bit about the, Saiyans, how they pick their planets they go to. But also that makes an issue because, like, okay, so if Frieza's a thing, Frieza is a tyrant who wholesale normally would wipe out entire races, but you're not doing anything to Frieza. You're just trying to stop a Saiyan. So wait, why don't you stop Frieza? I don't know. It's one of those points where it's because this does take place well before Dragon Ball. It creates an issue and it creates a retcon that makes problems. Especially when he runs across Bulma's sister. Whenever she gets introduced, like there goes all this stuff about how Bulma gets introduced to him as well eventually near the very, very end. So is Dr. Briefs. But they're still surprised that there's aliens whenever they do show up in Dragon Ball Z. What? I don't know. It's like Akira Toriyama forgets certain chunks of his own writing. That's where it's the most baffling. It's like, so you wrote Dragon Ball Z. Well, pretty much stuff that became Dragon Ball Z. Those who are ever wondering, the original Dragon Ball comics, of course, didn't have anywhere near as much filler as the actual anime did. So by, I want to say like volume 20 or so, they'd actually began transition Dragon Ball Z-like stuff, where you get to learn about Goku's being a Saiyan, all that fun stuff. But Akira Toriyama still wrote that. He still drew it. How did he forget about this? I'm just flummoxed here. I don't know how he forgets about these facts. And it's like, okay, so you create this weird plot hole that doesn't make a lot of sense, and then you dig up 2 more plot holes. Stop building plot holes. I mean, nobody reads Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z for its, in-depth story. But those of us who try to give a shit about it, it sucks whenever its own creator seems to not give as many shits about it. Shits, not ships. You might not give ships either. So, yeah. And honestly, this, like I said, this is painfully dull. It's surprising that it entirely takes place on Earth. I'm fine with there's not being a ton of action, but I would expect some kind of story, some kind of actual characters. You don't really get that. You just get Jaco being a jackass throughout 85% of this. And to be fair, like, he only does something heroic near the end of the entire manga, and it feels like he's just not a likable guy throughout the entire thing. Makes the character so unreadable. Because of that, I cannot recommend this. I wish I could, because I want to recommend more and more Dragon Ball stuff, but you get plot holes that get dug up for no reason. The art's good. The art is good. The writing is okay, but it's nothing worth your while. The jokes aren't all that funny, and where they are, they're spaced so far apart, you could build a cornfield between each joke. And on top of it, like I said, if you're a diehard Dragon Ball fan, I don't even think it's even for you at that point, because it digs up plot holes. It creates little issues here and there. It is nice to see a younger Goku, redrawn nowadays, because they do show his armor. It's like, okay, so I guess the armor that they ship with him, it actually just grows with him. Oh, okay, that's fine. I can accept that. What I can't accept is just this guy's a dickhead, and also they have this super weapon that could erase everything, but they don't try to use it on Frieza? One of the biggest bads, or, anything? And they don't even mention Frieza. That's the weird part of it all. And I'm just by the end of this, I'm just, I was happy to be done with this. That's the bad part. It's not one I was like, I don't want to finish this because it's so good. But it's one I was like, thank God, done with that. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I can't recommend Jaco. You read the other mangas. In fact, I'm about to start again. I read like 1 in like 3 years. Kind of confused how I read. Oh, it's 3. I'm missing 2. So I'm actually going to reread them again and give you all my opinions soon on the original Dragon Ball mangas. And I'm also going to go all the way through Dragon Ball Z, though of course how they were done in Dragon Ball. So hey, that should be fun when it happens over the next few months. So hey, that's Jaco. Miss it. I wouldn't even recommend to diehard fans. I think it's a story that didn't need to be told, especially how it's told. It would have been nice maybe if they started with Jaco, maybe working with the Intergalactic Police and they were dealing with Frieza and maybe they made a deal with Frieza. Okay, explain something like that. Otherwise, you're gonna shake your head at just the pure inconsistencies from the entire thing. So hey, I'll be back with some more manga reviews. Like I said, I got a ton of these to get to, and I want to talk with you all about them. So until then, I'll see you all here in like 5 minutes. Bye-bye, everybody.